Hello guys and welcome back. I might make this the 100th video that I ever do on this channel because I think it's quite fitting as a tribute. And the concept of the video is about how lucky we are to be men. And I thought of this the other day and I thought, imagine how bad it could be being a woman who was born not hot. Like, that's a tough scenario, right? And I don't believe that we should judge women purely on looks or sex appeal, but we do. You know, we all do it. Even though I know that, I don't judge women on that, but you still think she's hot. I would be with her just based on her being hot. You know, you don't hear about a woman becoming a billionaire and think, yeah, I want to date her. You know, nobody's looking at Oprah and being like, smoke show, I want to marry her. Well, they might want to marry her and then divorce her for the money, but you know, nobody is looking at her and thinking she's great in comparison with a girl on the street who's a straight 10. You know, they would rather be with that girl who's broke. And you think, how hard is that for women? That, like, if you're not born hot, you either have to get in the gym like 7 days a week, otherwise you're not going to have what you want in life. Like, they're going to struggle quite a lot. Like, a woman who is born 6 or below is going to have a tough life. You know, she's not going to have many options, okay? And it will come full circle. I'll explain why in a minute. And like I said, they shouldn't, but it's the way the world works. It's like if a man's broke, he's going to have a tough life. It's the same scenario, but a broke, hot woman can have a great life. As we see on social media, it's all swings and roundabouts, so nothing's offensive. It's just biology. But you get a woman who is maybe like, let's say, a 6, you know, or a 7, as long as she gets in the gym and gets a super hot body and rises up to like an 8 or a 9, she can have an amazing life. But it's limited. It's a very short period of time. So she might get that perfect body by 22, and then by 28 years old, she's starting to see the first signs of decline. Whereas in a man's life, that doesn't happen. You know, for a man, like we discussed before, we peak at like 36. That's the male advantage. And then as a man, you could be 55 years old as a man and still be considered super sexy. And here's the difference. And that is why we're so lucky to be men. You know, we could have quite easily been born as ugly women. You know, and then in that scenario, like you've seen on the social hierarchy chart, like that's a very tough place to be. It's very tough. Like, you even see with female influencers, like the hottest ones have a lot of female followers and they're like, oh, you're so inspirational. It's like, no, you're just hot. Like, she's just good looking. She's got a nice body and other girls wanted to follow her. Like, it's not that she was inspirational. I'm sure there's some fat, ugly girl out there that has amazing social media content, but nobody follows her because they're like, I don't like her hair, or her eyebrows are weird. You know, I don't like her lips. They're too thin. And, you know, people just gravitate towards hot women. It's just how it is. And you think, yeah, we could have been born a hot woman and then we got a ton of value, but it just doesn't last that long. But as a man, we're so fucking lucky. Like, we go through the struggle when we're young. We get to see that rise. Like I said, the male journey is so beautiful. I made this video before, but we're so lucky to be men that we're born, we struggle, we learn from that, we become better people, we learn to rely on other traits other than just like sex appeal, which I don't think a lot of women do until they're like 40, 50. But as a man, we kind of learn this at like 18, 20 years old, and we start to grow, we start to build, we start to put assets in place, we start to chase after money. And we have any man can take himself from a 1 to a 10. I made a video on this before, actually, I should do another one. But any man can take themselves from a 1 to a 10. Women can probably go from like a 6 to an 8 with their body. You know, just improving their body, maybe surgery and stuff. I'm not really into it too much. But you see girls that get like fake tits and bigger lips, and sometimes it does really work. You know, sometimes they can look a lot better. But I wouldn't really recommend it. It's not really my shit. I don't really find women like that attractive. I prefer natural. But as a man, you know, you could be born as a 1. You could get to 18 and you're a 1 out of 10. You know, ugly guy, kind of fat. Or just, let's say you're an ugly guy, really fat, no money, no value, poor social skills. Give it 10 years, you could be, let's say, give it 12 years, you could be 30 years old, and suddenly you're a multi-millionaire, you've hired a personal trainer for the last 3 years, you've got a killer body, it's made your face look better, it's bumped you up to like a 4 naturally. You know, you've been doing orthotropics, that's bumped you up to like a 6 naturally. So you've gone from a 1 to a 6 in looks. And then wealth, you've gone from a 1 to like a 10 or like a 9, because it's probably not a billionaire. You know, in assets, you've gone from like a 1 to an 8 or a 9. You know, you see what I mean? Like, as a man, we can grow from like a 1 to a 10 if we want to. We can go to whatever heights that we can dream of. Whereas a woman, they're very limited. Like, a woman can become a billionaire and nobody gives a fuck. Other women might be like, that's really cool, but it's usually the hot girl that gets all the plaudits, you know, the celebrations and whatever. You know, she gets the dream life that she wants. That's why a lot of career women are really frustrated, because they think, oh, I'm going to do what men did. They might have been born with more testosterone. I'm going to go down the men route. I'm going to build a great career. I'm going to get myself a great partner. It's like, I'm sorry, like, it shouldn't be this way, but it doesn't work like that for women. Like, unless you're super attractive, you're not going to get the man that you wanted. He's not going to look at you and be like, she works really hard and that's a great career. It's a bonus if you're already hot. Oh, she's hot and she works hard. Nobody ever goes, oh, she works hard, but she's ugly. That's my woman. You know, it's always, she's hot. Oh, and she works hard and she's a good mother. Like, hot is just the first thing that a lot of guys, or I find her attractive. She doesn't have to be like a 10, but I find her attractive and she does this. Like this, it's like the first thing that a lot of people do. And it's quite tough for women. Like, it's in the early days, women have the easiest life. You know, they're killing shit. They don't have to do a lot. You could be born hot. You could be 18 years old and social values like a 9 or a 10 immediately. You're dating multimillionaires and you're traveling around the world. You don't have a proper job. You know, just taking pictures on social media and getting paid to do it. 10 years later, that woman's really struggling and there's not a lot of ways out of it. You know, unless she married a rich man, which I think that's why a lot of them do it young. But there's not a lot of ways out of that come the future. But for men, you know, we have a lot of options that we can build that kind of value. So you the first 30 years of your life can be shit as a man, but the next 50 could be fantastic. And that all comes from the compound effects. That all comes from building and growing. But like I said, women don't have that ability. And that's why we're so lucky to be men. And we need to use that to our advantage. You know, the male advantage. We need to be looking at ages like 36, 40, like mid 40s and stuff, like our peak earning years, and think, if I really work on every aspect of my life, or at least like 5 main ones, and try and build myself up to be an outlier male, I can have the perfect life. And I've got time. I'm allowed to be patient. Like, it actually benefits me to be patient as a man. Women need to get to 18 and go, right, fuck, how much money can I make? Who wants me? Who finds me attractive? How can I make money off this, like, sweet ass, you know? How can I make money off this big pair of tits? OnlyFans, right, 90 grand a month. Sorted. I'll put 2 million in the bank because I'm just going to be working a 9-to-5 job for the rest of my life, or, you know, something else off the back of this. And that's how they can do it. Whereas a man, you can have a shit life and then suddenly things start to click into gear. And I think our lives get better over time. Women peak early and drop off. And I just think that's why we need to be so grateful to be men.